Okay, welcome everyone. Uh, Today's session, we will be talking about agile methods, and we'll understand the different kind of methodologies that follows the agile principle. But let's go ahead and start understanding what precisely is agile. So when someone says that I'm using agile as a project management approach or as a methodology, what they essentially mean is they're talking about using the agile principles following the Agile Manifesto. Now, this is a tricky situation. Why I say this is a tricky situation, because someone claiming that they are following agile per se, well, agile does not define what all roles should be there in your organization. Agile does not talk about which role is supposed to do what. So in other words, agile is practically the set of 12 principles what has been recommended by uh, the Agile Manifesto and the uh, Declaration of Interdependence. That's what agile covers. So the structure to that is being provided by the frameworks. As the word suggests, agile essentially means to being more flexible, to being more adaptive. Now, most of the projects that we manage nowadays, the situation what we face as project managers is changes are being introduced very frequently, and we have to go ahead and adapt those changes. We have to agree to those changes. We have to mend our plan. We have to change the way we implement the project, and there will be a lot of impact. All the components of project are all linked to each other. So when we say scoping, cost, schedule, procurement, they're all connected. So one change to one aspect can lead to a kind of a ripple impact or a ripple effect on multiple aspects. And that's where agile comes into the picture. See, as a project manager, I don't want to spend months and months in planning and then starting the implementation of a project, and all of a sudden someone proposes a change and I have to go ahead and tweak everything there. I don't want that. So what is the option that is available to me? The option that's going to be available to me is to adapt to agile approach. How exactly agile is different? So when we say a traditional approach of project management, a traditional approach simply says that you prepare a plan, a detailed plan, and you implement the project. And at the very end, there will be a review. What Agile recommends is you break this entire structure into small chunks or small iterations or small sprints. Different approaches may use different terms, but the concept remains same. You don't prepare a detailed plan. You prepare a plan for precisely an iteration. And within the world of Agile, the iteration is going to be between 2 to 4 weeks. That's the ideal duration that has been expected from an Agile. So what happens is you prepare something, you show it to your customer. By the end of this iteration, you show it to the customer or the someone or to someone who can represent the customer. The term that we normally use here is the product owner. So this product owner who represents the customer look at whatever is being completed, and based on that provide feedback, provide recommendations, or tweak the changes for the next iteration. So that's how agile normally works. Again, going back to the definition team, what most of the books that are being written on agile will say, they all will come to a conclusion that agile is an iterative approach of project management. So agile follows an approach where the development is happening within iterations that helps the team deliver value faster and with fewer hiccups. primary objective again is gonna to deliver the value faster. With Agile, what we try and do is we try to deliver customers' expectation. So keep this in mind when I use the word value. Yes, as a project manager, I'm supposed to be very much aware of what value means. But end of the day, the one who can define that value, who can give me the definition of value, that's always going to be the customer. So I will focus. I here is going to be the project team. I and my team would be focusing on achieving their objective. Now, when we say the word agile, there are numerous widely used agile methodologies. The one which is very famous nowadays, you probably all have heard about it, is going to be Scrum. It's a very commonly used approach. It defines certain roles about how or who all should be involved in your project. Then there is another approach called extreme programming. Software developers, they normally use this approach a lot. There's something called DSDM. There is test-driven development, feature-driven development, and all of them, all the names I'm right now defining or picking up, these are primarily the methodologies. They provide that skeletal structure to those principles about how that those principles can be practically being implemented. Now, the core of Agile is going to be the Agile Manifesto and the principles. What exactly is Agile Manifesto? So when we use the term Agile Manifesto, Agile Manifesto covers practically 4 points. What are these points? Individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. This is what the manifesto says. But please be conscious here, team. I have heard people saying that we don't plan, we don't document. And when they've been asked that, why are you not documenting anything? Their answer is because we are following Agile. Keep this in mind. Agile is not saying that processes and tools are not important. Documentation is not important, or contract negotiation is not important. What Agile Manifesto is emphasizing on is individuals and interactions are more important or more critical than simply following the processes and tools. This does not mean in your projects you are not supposed to define the processes, you're not supposed to use any tools. But keep this in mind that processes are actually being designed to simplify the work. If you realize or if you identify a situation wherein there is this individual who's giving you inputs, and because of the process you're getting into a siloed environment, it's better you change the process. Don't just follow the process for the sake of it. Follow a process because it adds value. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer do expect some kind of response from the project. And most of us, when we are managing projects, our understanding says that, okay, this response is going to be that status report, that document that we send to our customer, that yes, this is the amount of work which has been completed. Now, there is no fault in sending this report. I'm not saying that sending a report is wrong. The problem is when you go ahead and think that this is the only thing that you're supposed to do. A better way of probably connecting with your customer would be when you go ahead and showcase the work that you have completed. Give them something which is testable, something that they can go ahead and run tests on, something that they can use. The reason why we use the word working software is because um, primarily when we started with Agile was considered to be a project management approach precisely designed and developed for application and software development. Now, keep this in mind. This is when Agile was starting at its very beginning. Now, we also know that Agile can be used in many other areas. Now, I'm again not going to say that Agile is the better way of managing projects or Agile is the only way of managing projects. I'm simply going to go ahead and say, team, that every project that you work upon is going to be different. So based on the kind of project that you're working on, you need to identify which approach is going to be applicable for you. Next, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Again, are we saying contract negotiation is not important? No, it is. It is very much important. But more than that, we need customer collaboration. And customer collaboration, see, again, don't assume that collaboration essentially means sending reports. Collaboration essentially means when they are also participating, coming, combining their efforts to make sure that the value is being realized. So that's the expectation from the customer side as well. The role, if you remember in the previous slide, I was talking about someone called product owner. This product owner is expected to be, I mean, if you go by the books, the product owner is supposed to be co-located with the development team. Now, I understand there could be certain scenarios where that's not a possibility. But then the purpose here for co-location is we need to understand the purpose here, team. Um, the purpose is going to be to make sure that there is someone who's always available to answer the queries of the development team. If they need any kind of clarification on a particular feature, on particular aspect of a feature, they have someone who can represent the customer's side of story. Then responding to change over following a plan. Now, again, one more kind of myth, I will say, I've heard in my trainings, people say we don't plan. And why you don't plan? Because we are following Agile. What should be the ideal situation? It's going to be the opposite. If you look into Agile, you probably will be working on multiple layers of planning. There will be a project level planning, very high level. The reason why I say very high level, it actually don't get into those nitty-gritties. Like in a traditional approach of project management, where we break down each activity of that is supposed to be completed in a project. The project planning in Agile does not get into that level of nitty-gritties. After project planning, there will be something called release planning. We don't plan the project to be completed in one go. And it's not possible, especially if you're working on software and application development projects. It's not possible that you go out and complete everything in one go. There will be updations, there will be recommendations, and primarily, again, coming back to software and application management projects, in terms of the look and feel, you would be getting a lot of requests. So what we normally do is we break down the entire project into multiple releases, set of applications, set of features are being released to the market so that people can go ahead and use it. So ideal situation, you want a situation where people or you as a project manager are responding to change. I'm not saying, again, are we saying you are accepting anything and everything that is coming in and keep piling up the work? No. First things first, if you're a project manager, probably if you're using Scrum, then the term is going to be Scrum Master. The decision maker of what all change should be there, project managers or Scrum Masters have nothing to do with it. It's going to be the product owner. And every time the product owner agrees for a change, they also need to agree to a equal amount of work moving out of scope. If that's not happening, that essentially means that the product owner is also agreeing to the increase in cost and time for the additional work that is coming in. So that's what the Agile Manifesto is. Now, there is something called Declaration of Interdependence as well. What exactly the Declaration of Interdependence talks or covers? It says we increase people who are following agile approaches. We increase the return on investment by making continuous flow of value. How? We don't wait for the entire project to be completed. Now, one of the primary things, team, if you look into the market conditions, one of the primary things that is going to impact the product sales is the time it takes to release the product into the market. The term that we normally use for this is time to market. An agile approach focuses on reducing that duration. Deliver reliable results by engaging customers in frequent interactions and shared ownerships. Expect uncertainty and manage for it throughout. So agree to a fact that certainty is not going to be there and plan accordingly. Unleash creativity and innovation. Give that confidence to your team members, to the development team, that yes, they can go ahead and innovate. I mean, of course, you have to draw that line. You don't want the wheel to be rediscovered, but at the same time, you don't just want the team members to follow what is already being done. Create an environment as a project manager, as a Scrum Master, create an environment where the team feels confident in trying something new. Boost performance through group accountability. So in a project, especially in the agile world, project success, it's the project team. Project failure, who's the accountable one? The project team. And when I say project team, this includes the development team, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. Improve effectiveness and reliability through situations situational specific strategies, processes, and practices. Now, what are the principles? Practically speaking, when we talk about Scrum, when we talk about Kanban, when we talk about um, test-driven development, feature-driven development, they all are methodologies. But how exactly they all are connected? They all follow the principles. What are these 12 principles? Early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So in the world of Agile, there's a document that is supposed to be created by the product owner, the one who represents the customer. And this document is called prioritized product backlog, list of items that, or list of features that is supposed to be delivered by the project team. This includes user stories. The reason why it is called prioritized product backlog is because this document is supposed to be prioritized based on value. So is it you? Is it the project manager? Is it the development team who's going to prioritize? No. It's going to be the product owner. What we try and do, we try and deliver features which are at the very top, at the very earliest. That's going to be our target. That's why we say that we're trying to deliver value at the earliest possible. Next, welcome changing requirements. We are open for change. Deliver working software frequently. Deliver something which is in a working state. Something that can be, like I said earlier as well, something that the customer can test. Business people and developers must work together. Business people, this entity is generally represented by the product owner. Developers, this entity is normally represented by the development team. So when we say project team in Agile, it is going to be the product owner plus Scrum Master plus the development team. They all included. Build project around motivated individuals. Now, see, changes are going to happen very frequently. So in short, you would be working in an environment which may be referred as turbulent. So you need people who are willing to collaborate and contribute. So in Agile, we try to reduce or we try to restrict the team size as well. The ideal team size for any Agile lightweight project is between 6 to 10 members, which essentially means that these resources at times will be working on multiple aspects. Or the term which we generally use, they are cross-functional. So these team members are supposed to be very much motivated so that they are willing to learn from each other and they're willing to share with each other. Promote face-to-face conversation. Ideal situation is you make sure that the team is working in a co-location or co-located environment. They're supposed to be working around each other, or the name that we normally use here for a location where the team supposed to sit is war room. What is the expectation from Agile? That there will be a big round table, every team member would be sitting there, no cubicles. Why no cubicles? The information is expected to flow without any hindrances, without any restrictions, or without any noise. Working software, that's what is going to be the parameter for evaluating the project. Sustainable development. Maintain a speed that you can follow. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. Improve, refactor. You've done something, you've achieved a functionality. Look for ways that will make sure that the functionality that you've achieved, this can be improved. Maximizing the amount of work not done. Identify things which are not important or which are not going to add any value. Anything which is going to be a non-value add is a wastage of resource. And you already have a very limited amount of resources that are available. So don't put your resources on a particular activity or task or process that's not going to add any value. Self-organizing team. Organizations or teams are supposed to manage their work by themselves. In Agile, we don't expect a lot of hand-holding situation. To be very precise, if you follow a typical Agile environment, there will be no hierarchy per se. Technically, everyone, the Scrum Master, product owner, development team, they all are going to be at the same position. So you want a situation wherein the team is matured enough to understand how to collaborate and connect with each other as well. And team reflection. The team connecting with each other just to discuss what's working well and what's not. Now, this is what the principle says. What about the methodologies? What are the different methodologies that we have? And how exactly these methodologies come together? First, lean Kanban software development. As the name suggests, this is a technique very commonly used in software development projects. Kanban primarily focuses on displaying the work progress. Lean primarily focus on making the processes more effective by removing any kind of wastage. So Lean Kanban integrates the use of visualization methods as prescribed by Kanban, along with the principles of lean software development. What's going to be the core value? Core value is to follow Kaizen. Kai means an idea for change. And Zen simply means good. So continuous improvement. And what do you remove? You remove wastages. What are the different kind of wastages? Muda, Mura, Muri, Genchi, Genbutsu. These are the wastages that you primarily try to remove. Next, Scrum. This is the one which is most popular. Scrum is one of the most popular agile methodologies. It is an adaptive, iterative, fast, flexible, and effective methodology designed to deliver significant value quickly and throughout the project. And there's a proper life cycle that has been designed for Scrum. Definition of roles are being created. Scrum principles. Scrum primarily focuses on 6 principles. These are empirical process control, self-organization of teams, collaboration, value-based prioritization, time boxing, and iterative development. Roles that are being involved here. Primarily within the project team, it's going to be the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the Scrum team, or the development team. Another technique that is followed a lot, especially in application development, XP, extreme programming. It's a lightweight, low risk, flexible, and predictable way to develop software. It makes use of frequent releases in short development cycle to improve productivity and provide checkpoints for feedback and changes. Then there is something called TDD, or test-driven development. This is one of the most extensively used subset of agile methodologies. What normally happens here is you design the test environment, you run the test, and you fail, because practically there is no code that has been written till now. But once you fail, you have the test report, which is going to tell you what is the bare minimum requirement to clear the test. Now you start the development work. And this time, the development work is going to be primarily targeting to clear the test. Another technique, DSDM, Dynamic Systems Development Method. Now, this is normally falls under the category of heavyweight agile. It's a kind of a combination of agile concepts with waterfall approach. Why I'm saying it's a combination? Because every project, you cannot restrict your team sizes to 6 to 10. You cannot go ahead and restrict your project to a particular definition that has been given by Agile. So if you want to use the Agile concepts, but the team size is big, the amount of risk involved is high, then you probably want to use DSDM approach. Again, it closely follows the iterative and incremental approach. But DSDM also talks about cost, quality, time, which you might not see in the other approaches. I mean, I'm not saying that projects like Scrum project does not talk about cost. It does, but it's not going to be the job of the project manager there. With DSDM, it's going to be. Another technique, feature-driven development. A balancing act of the industry acknowledged best software development practice. FDD operates on the principle of completing a project by breaking it down into small client valued functions, features that can be delivered in less than 2 weeks time. So the entire team focuses on one feature at a time, completes it, moves to the next one. Then you have something called crystal, or to be very precise, it's going to be the crystal family, because there are multiple crystal approaches. Crystal was actually proposed by Alistair Cockburn. And Alistair Cockburn is an agile pioneer who was involved in writing the Agile Manifesto. Now, all of them are good. All these techniques are good. They all have different focus areas, but end of the day, the principle remains same. Question is, when we look into the agile, or let's say with any project management method, whether it is agile, whether it is waterfall, which one is better for you? So keep this in mind, team, that there is no fixed answer to this question. There's no fixed answer to the question that what approach is better than the other. Every approach is different. Every approach is different. The way these approaches are being implemented, or the reason why these approaches are being selected, are going to be different. So what should be the deciding factor? So many initial product requirements and strict regulatory requirements, if this is what you see in your project, it's better you move to waterfall approach. Few initial product and regulatory requirements, you don't have a lot of such restrictions, and the inputs about the features in the very beginning is not that detailed, you better use agile approach. The process is strict, well, better move to waterfall approach. Lenient processes in place, good idea to use agile in that case. High product owner involvement or high amount of customer involvement. It's better you use agile, because then you're gonna have that condition where the product owner have to be in a always available mode. greenfield product, like if your team is trying to build something innovative that does not exist, research and development projects, better use Agile. Fixed and firm timeline. There's a very restricted timeline approach. Better use waterfall. Short, flexible timeline. Use Agile. So when to use waterfall? See, as a gist, I will say waterfall approach is gonna be good for you or good for projects where um, a very constrained cost or scheduled approach is supposed to be followed. There's a defined timeline, there's a defined cost that needs to be adhered to. That's where you use waterfall approach. A simple example here. Let's say if you are into construction projects or manufacturing projects, there's a defined timeline that you need to go ahead and complete a building by this date. And you realize that a change in between, after you started the implementation, a change in between could have a huge impact on your project. That's where you use waterfall. Agile is applicable when the product team is unsure at the beginning of what needs to be built, or they want to go ahead and test and try or find out, give some views to the, give some options to the customer. In this kind of environment, Agile methodology will work. That's my time, teams. And that's where I'm gonna say thank you all for listening. Over to you, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Soumik, for that informative webinar. And as we promised, we're going to get to your questions right now that you can throw out to Soumik. We don't have a lot of time, so let's, Maddie would like to know, how do you use Agile in a remote setting?
So in a remote environment, see, there will be some challenges. Challenges are going to be with the collaboration of the team. And there is no denial to it. Yes, there will be challenges. The only way to deal with this particular challenge of collaboration is going to be to make sure that that you use the right technology. Collaborative technology I'm talking about, which will make sure that the teams connected throughout and they've been updated about the project progress. They're following those agile rituals like a daily stand-up meeting, retrospective meetings, and all of them can be conducted through Teams, can be conducted through WebEx sessions, Zoom. I mean, there are many other options available. And use some tools like Jira or probably any project management tool that can be used to maintain and track the progress of the work.
Great. Thank you so much, Soumik. And now we are going to launch a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in taking some additional training. So please just fill that out before you all log off. In addition, we do have a lot more informative webinars coming up. So please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register. We want to thank you all for joining us today. And if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.